friends. Up in the hills where the party never ends. Your schemes and your dreams when you're whole and you're broken. I'm telling all about it in my words unspoken.
Welcome to Words Unspoken, the Hills podcast, paying tribute to the reality show that aired on MTV from 2006 to 2010.
We are two Southern sisters rewatching The Hills in 2016 and chatting about it weekly for your entertainment.
My name is Susan, and I'm a 30-something photographer who hates most reality shows but loves The Hills. I have been rewatching the show for a few months.
My name is Jem. I'm a professional in my 30s who hasn't seen the show since it originally aired, so I'm really looking forward to reliving the magic again 10 years later.
We watched the first few seasons of the show in real time when we were younger versions of ourselves, and we are so excited to revisit every episode from our new points of view. Today we will be discussing episode 3 of season 2, The Best Night Ever.
Which it really does turn out to be.
I cannot wait to talk about this episode, Jem. I'm so excited.
Super pumped. I just rewatched it today, and by rewatched, I mean watched it for the first time since 2007, and I was going nuts trying to Skype you so that we could get started because it's so great.
I didn't know you haven't seen this one since then. I think I've seen it 3 or 4 more times.
There's one place I've seen one scene, but we'll get there when we get there.
So this episode starts out with Lauren and Heidi shopping for Heidi's birthday party that's coming up.
So in the previously on montage, they alluded to Lauren vowing no more boys after she and Jason ended, and I was laughing because I was thinking that's kind of the same thing as saying, I'll never drink again.
Yeah. So Lauren tells Heidi that she has a lunch date with Brody coming up.
P.S. Lunch dates, is that like for 40-year-olds or 19-year-olds?
Well, they don't have anything to do during the day, so that's why they can have lunch dates.
Remember the guy Heidi dated or someone dated who didn't get out of bed till 6 p.m.? He couldn't have
No, we will not be talking about Brian or Jordan anymore. We're done with them forever. I am not going to revisit that painful part of The Hills.
It's one of those things where once in the past you have better memories of the people and they're really not as bad as you thought they were, but they were, weren't they?
They were. Go back and listen to our episodes or watch the episodes immediately because I don't appreciate you talking about them. So Heidi says she invited Whitney to her birthday party, but Audrina was not invited. Despite what anyone thinks, Heidi is a princess, remember? So she will be wearing a crown to her birthday.
I'm a princess on my birthday. It's a rule despite what anyone thinks. Oh, Heidi, if you really didn't care about what people think.
So then we go to Brody and Lauren's lunch date.
And I noticed his haircut immediately, and I was like, what is happening to him? And then, sure enough, the first thing he says is, don't laugh at my haircut.
But it looked good, I thought.
Oh, I thought it looked great, and I think it was very ahead of his time. It would have been totally fashionable in 2016.
And Lauren looked really cute. I loved her outfit.
I don't remember what she was wearing. Is this when she was wearing kind of like a flowy
I don't
shirt?
know. I just wrote she looked cute in her outfit, but I didn't write what it looked like.
And Brody says something about how he's had 2 weeks living the single life.
Brody does not like to be alone. He clearly always has to have a girlfriend.
At some point in this episode, he says, I've been out of a relationship like a week.
He details his romantic history from Kristen Cavallari to Nicole Richie. And then he asks about Jason.
Is that the Nicole that Lauren asks him about?
Yes.
She says something about, did you go straight from Kristen to Nicole?
Yes.
Or something like that? And then he says no, and then says, wait a minute. Yes, I did.
Like he can't even remember. He's like, hold on, I have to think about all the women I've dated, because I've dated so many.
I have to think about my ladies.
All the ladies.
And he says, I'm still looking for someone to cuddle with.
Lauren tells him he needs to take breaks and be single for a while, which, by the way, is one of my favorite pieces of advice that I always give to people. Don't be afraid to be single.
Yeah, Lauren is full of great advice that she herself does not take. But
this is true.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
Lauren says, you never feel like you just want to be friends for a while? She totally sees through all his BS. And Brody's just like you said before, I'm still looking for someone to cuddle with. Which is, she laughs really hard, probably because she knows that's completely inauthentic and such a line.
She's laughing at him.
Yeah,
she's
she
laughing
really
at
is.
She's not laughing with him.
Yeah, she's definitely like making fun of him. She probably thinks, who is this tool? He's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, he's Spencer's best friend, so need I say more, Lauren Conrad?
She should know better. So we head to Epic Records cards where Audrina is chatting with her coworker, telling her all about Heidi's birthday and how she hasn't been invited, but she's going anyway, and talking about how, Heidi's getting played by Spencer, which of course she is.
Totally on point. And honestly, my favorite part of this episode, outside of the dialogue, was the posters in her coworker's cube. She had 2 musical posters on the wall. One was The Fray, who were like brand new at the time, and I think they probably had their first hit around then. Second one, though, was Jessica Simpson. Oh, memories.
They must have both been epic artists.
Yeah, but one of these is not like the other.
Jem, I have to break in here and tell you that I'm currently texting with 2 friends because I'm very bored in this episode. Just kidding. But anyway, we're talking about The Hills in this text message, and you texted, seriously, The Hills was the best show ever. And one of our other friends says, it really is. It brings me back to simpler times. And that's so true.
It is true.
It really is true. Like, The Hills reminds me of like a really awesome time, being young and carefree. So then we go to the salon where Heidi and Lauren are getting prepared for Heidi's birthday, and Heidi makes sure to have her birthday crown on before her hair is even getting done.
Oh, that's not all she has on, Susan. Let's talk about her outfit real quick. Heidi was wearing a white button-down, her crown, and nothing else.
What? Are you serious? I did not even see that.
Like, everybody knows, every woman by that age knows that you wear a button-down to the salon if you're getting your hair and makeup done. Like, that's just a foregone conclusion. But she did not put on anything else with the button-down, so she has it belted like a dress, trying to be cute. But she's not wearing any pants.
Was it Spencer's button-down?
Probably. Ugh.
So she wants something fun, sexy, and sophisticated for her party because she's an American princess, because those exist.
I'm not lifting a hand because I'm an American princess. That's a real thing.
Jem, what is an American princess?
Well, maybe it's the female counterpart of a male Prince of Malibu like Brody and Spencer were in their short-lived TV show. But she said, Audrina can't come to my birthday. Heidi, are you 5?
Thank you. That's exactly what I have in my notes. She is acting like such a child.
But I think that she sees this as being a charming characteristic about herself. Like, I'm so cute and adorable, I say people can't come to my party. But, can we back up to the previous scene? Audrina said something about, I know I'm not invited, but I'm going anyway. Susan, how many birthday parties have you attended that you were not invited to?
I'm going to go ahead and say 0.
Same.
Like, who does that?
MTV producers, hello.
I know.
But moving on.
They were like pushing them to do that.
So Susan, let's head to the now defunct Le Deux nightclub in LA.
Le Deux. So sad.
We had such good times there. Oh wait, no, I mean they had such good times there.
So Heidi says she's dressed like Audrey Hepburn, but Jem, I don't think Audrey Hepburn ever wore a backless halter dress.
I don't really know what was happening there. There was some sort of full skirt situation. There was like a halter top, but it was also a crop top. Again, Susan, that was a really dark time for fashion, so I don't know what else to say.
So ugly. Lauren brings out a giant cake with her baby picture on it. And she's like, it's so cute!
And Heidi, I was like, oh, there's so much cheering. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's Heidi doing all the cheering and everyone else is standing there looking at her thing.
Everyone else is being super normal and just chilling and having fun. And Heidi is being like, whoa.
I do need to say that I think that my friends are way better than Heidi's friends, because on my birthday, my friends and family get excited about my birthday, at least to my face. And she doesn't have anybody who's like cheering that she was born. Not one person.
That is sad. Oh, by the way, Jem, I'm not going to be able to make it to your birthday party next week.
That's fine. I have plenty of friends. I don't need any more.
I have plenty of friends. I don't need any more. So then Spencer annoyingly starts pushing Lauren onto Brody, and Heidi's doing the same thing to Lauren.
He's doing a thing where he tries to make a point, and he's so drunk he thinks he made it, and so he closes his eyes and like rocks backwards on his feet and just smiles, thinking he's said what he wanted to say. But you can tell he's so drunk he was thinking it and it didn't come out, and he just is like, punctuation. Now I'm going to close my eyes and rest for a minute.
You know what I thought during this scene, Jem?
What did you think, Susan?
I am so glad that when I was in college and going out to bars and clubs, that there were not cameras following me.
I'm so glad I was always in my dorm studying and never went out.
That's incorrect. But do you know what I mean? I'm so glad.
I do.
Like,
I do. It's horrifying to
with
think
the slurred words and the things pulled out of thin air and trying to put these thoughts together, and you think you're being really clear and you're not. I'm so glad that there is no record of that.
Thank goodness we don't have records.
Well, I feel sorry for the kids now with all their cell phones and their videos. Ah!
These kids need to get off our lawn.
Jim, I have a question. What is Heidi and Spencer's ulterior motive in hooking up Lauren and Brody so hard? What is their end game?
Well, it probably would reflect well on them as matchmakers, and they could like go on adventures around the world. Like the show could have a fun name, like, you know, whatever, something about them being a couple of couples, you know, something like that. And they would take on the world, and they could do all these different reality shows in different parts of the universe, doing different things. The possibilities would have been endless, and then they could have all had a double wedding
on TV.
On TV, yeah, well, a live wedding. You know, the options were endless, and Lauren and Brody are way more likable, just, you know, from a viewer standpoint.
Yeah, Jem, I agree with that. I also think it was in their best interest to keep both of them on the show, and that was part of it. Oh, you know, like maybe if Spencer and Heidi had fought later, and there could have been drama with that. It was just in everyone's best interest that all four of them were on the show. And I'm sure the producers encouraged that, because I will say Spencer and Brody are way more interesting than Brian and Jordan.
Light years. Despite
Brian, Jordan, and Jason put together, they're much more interesting to watch.
Despite the myriad of faults and pratfalls that belong to Brody and Spencer, you're right. They're a zillion times more interesting to watch. And obviously Brody's super cute, so that's enjoyable for some of us.
As much as I hate that Spencer and Brody are more manipulative, it does make for a more interesting show. I do have to admit that.
They helped us out there a little bit to take a step up from Brian and Jordan. So Audrina arrives.
She has 2 cell phones.
2 sidekicks going at the same time, 1 on each ear. How is she doing it and why?
Heidi's on the balcony, and when she sees Audrina coming, she gets so excited. She is so excited that Audrina showed up. She is ready for the drama. She can't wait. She's pretending to be all mad, but the delight in her eyes says that is a lie.
Do you think that the time it takes for Audrina to get into Ledoux with her sidekicks, Heidi takes this time to plan what her catchphrase of the evening is going to be?
Oh, of course.
She didn't take very long because it's not a good catchphrase.
So Jen Bunny gathers the girls possessively to her side as they await Audrina. Jem, let's talk a little bit about Jen Bunny.
Give us a little lecture on your thoughts on Jen Bunny.
Okay, Jem. Jen Bunny has decided that she needs to be the new Audrina.
Yes.
So the best way to be the new Audrina is to get rid of the old Audrina. Now, she really doesn't have to do that much because the Audrina's already on the way out, and she thinks she would be perfect just slipping right into that spot as the best friend. She's been best friends, or she's been at least friends. I don't know about best friends, but she's been friends with Lauren since high school. But here's the thing about Jen Bunny. She can't hold anything up on her own, show-wise.
Yeah.
Because she's so drama-filled, but not in the right way. Like, she tries to manufacture drama. She is always creating trouble. She is the hugest troublemaker, besides Spencer, out of the whole show.
To be Audrina, you must be Audrina.
And she is not Audrina, Jem.
No, she might be like, she might end up being like the second low.
So Lauren slips away to greet Audrina and kind of be like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? Kind of thing.
Yeah, this is definitely an awkward moment for Lauren because you can tell she doesn't want Heidi to catch her chatting with Audrina and being nice. And her loyalties that night are to the birthday girl because it is her birthday and you don't want to upset your friend on their birthday.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So Audrina is trying to be all like friends and chit-chat about the drama, and Lauren is literally trying to run away from her physically.
And then Heidi and Audrina greet one another and hug, which is the most insincere thing in the world. Audrina tries to talk to her.
And Heidi says, not tonight. This isn't the time to talk about it. It's my birthday. And she says, we can talk about it later. And Audrina says, but you don't ever talk to me any other time. So basically Audrina was saying, this is my one chance out with you. And if I'm Audrina, honestly, I'm thinking like Heidi's going to be like, I love you. And she's going to hug her and they're all going to party together till the dawn for Heidi's birthday.
Right.
Totally could have happened. But then all of a sudden, Heidi had this viciousness just like leap out that took things to a whole new level. And she yelled, oh snap, in Audrina's face. And Audrina tried to respond and Heidi walked away laughing maniacally saying, oh snap.
It was so rude.
It was so mean. It was like
made me so mad.
True mean girl behavior. Like
so
humiliating.
Awful.
You don't treat someone like that, especially if you have your own little, VIP area you can go back to. You could have just been like, let's talk later, have a good night, and walked away. You didn't have to scream, oh snap, and then interrupt the person and leave them. And this, of course, sends Audrina spiraling into tears.
And then Jen Bunny decides to stir up more trouble, trying to get her camera time.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Lauren tries to stop her, she starts trying to talk to Audrina, like, what are you even doing here? And she's just being so annoying. So Audrina says, you're such a random girl. You don't even know anything about the situation, which I think is perfect because it's so true. Jen has nothing to do with this. This is not her fight. And she tries to say, well, when my best friends are being treated like this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whatever. It was so annoying. I'm like, go away, Jen.
Once again, Audrina's not playing the reality show game and totally calls out Jen Bunny on what she's really trying to do. Just like she did with Spencer in the last episode.
So then we go to the Hillside Villas for the post-party eating, and they're chatting about Brody, and Lauren said she just isn't ready to date. And then she says, why do we always compare guys to accessories?
Wise words once again from Lauren while everybody else is giggling about boys just being arm candy. And Lauren's like, I've never really looked at them like that. But you know what I think? There's some code in here, and I should have mentioned this earlier. Not ready to date equals I don't like this boy. Because a girl can be with a guy for years and years and break up and go on a new date with a new guy the next week. And if she likes him, she will be all about it.
Yeah.
But saying you're not ready after a bad breakup that was kind of over before it ever ended, she just doesn't like Brody. It's so off.
She's just not interested in him.
No.
Which is a shame because he is cute. But once again, if she thinks he's like full of it and smarmy, and of course he dated Kristen, I understand why she wouldn't want to get in that situation again. And I venture to say that's a thing that the producers loved about it because I'm sure that was all in the tabloids at that time. Oh, Lauren and Brody, and he dated Kristen. I'm sure it was huge tabloid fodder.
She has such a pattern.
So then we head to Teen Vogue. The girls are talking about getting highlights and getting their nails done. And I just have to say, this does not count for the Bechdel test, Jem.
No, this was pitiful. They just were talking about getting their eyebrows done and stuff. It was very boring.
So Audrina wants to get lunch, and Lauren tells Whitney she has to come because she does not want to have lunch with her by herself.
Lauren does not like confrontation at all.
No, she's terrible at confrontation. So then we go to Cafe Verona, where Lauren and Whitney show up to have lunch with Audrina for what is probably one of the most awkward conversations we've had in a while.
Even if they had edited the crap out of this to make it look more awkward, you can tell it totally was. It was like nobody wanted to be the first to bring it up, so they were talking about stupid stuff like, oh, who are you dating? And blah, blah, blah. And even that went kind of south.
Lauren says, I need to be fine to be alone and not date anyone, and then I know it will be fine to be in a relationship again, which is more words of wisdom. I absolutely love that.
And then Audrina says, it's so hard to find a good guy. And Lauren says, I'm not looking for a good guy. And Audrina looks at her like she's insane. Like, why would you
like,
not
who
always
isn't looking for a good guy? Come on, Lauren.
I mean, Audrina's about to find one.
And then they finally start talking about Spencer and Heidi and all that mess. And Audrina says, she's just changed towards me. And then it's Spencer's fault. And Lauren's like, yeah, I know it's Spencer's fault.
It's like everyone knows that but Heidi.
Yeah, everyone knows it's Spencer's fault. Everyone knows that he's slimy. So I have a question about what Heidi thinks is going on there. Does she genuinely think that Spencer is not in the wrong and that Audrina's trying to steal Spencer from her?
I think that Heidi sees Spencer as this prize and nobody else sees this. Think about all of your friends that you had at that age who were dating a guy and they thought that it was like the greatest guy ever. And you were just like, I don't see one thing in him that is like remotely attractive, but your friend literally thinks this is like the best person ever. And none of the other friends can understand.
Yeah.
And there are times where your friends date a guy and you're just like, oh my gosh, everyone loves him and he's amazing. I can see why you want to be with him. So I just see Spencer as being that guy where Heidi just assumes that everybody else thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And Audrina clearly doesn't even think that. She hung up on him last time when he was being annoying. So Heidi's the only one who's falling for his tricks at this point.
It's just ridiculous.
And she sees herself as like this winner type person because she's snagged Spencer. And I'm like, you could have done so much better than that. Like she could have dated a celebrity guy or something.
Let's talk about how much we love Whitney in this scene when she's like, friends just grow apart, and she's so diplomatic and she's trying to be so sweet instead of being like, why do you even want to be friends with this person who is clearly choosing a guy over you and choosing a horrible guy over you? She just diplomatically is like, friends grow apart.
Whitney is not my winner of the week, spoiler alert, but she totally would have been.
She's definitely a runner-up.
She's a runner-up for sure.
I think also in this scene, Audrina's a little concerned that she's she's going to be kicked off the show. I think she knows that because Heidi and Lauren live together, that they're like best friends, and I'm using quotation marks, and they're the main stars of the show, really. And so if she's fighting with Heidi, then she might not be in that in crowd anymore, and there might not be a place for her, and she might get kicked off the show, which honestly, I'm sure that Heidi is hoping that will happen because she's probably jealous because Audrina is so gorgeous. I would be super threatened by Audrina.
Audrina talks a lot about girl fights. She keeps referring to girl fights and trying to get everyone to agree with her, nod their head, and be like, oh yeah, girl fights, they're so awful. All of this is Spencer's fault.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't blame Heidi. I mean, obviously, you do have to blame Heidi. But Spencer has manipulated this whole situation by being so terrible.
Did Spencer also invent high heels and starvation diets and cleanses?
He might have. I mean,
he likes to keep the women stashed away and under control, and it works perfectly with Heidi, but with not another soul, which is just the root of all of the conflict that's on its way. I mean, I'm sure it's on its way. I don't know.
It's just funny because, I mean, like we said earlier, Audrina just saw through him sooner. She was kind of tricked by him at first, and I think she was like, wait, what is this dude doing? So then we head back to the Hillside Villas, and Heidi's like, oh my God, how was lunch? And she said, did you call her out or anything?
Like, what does that even mean, Heidi?
That annoyed me. Call her out about what? She literally has done nothing wrong. I mean, I understand Heidi doesn't know that about the phone call and Audrina hanging up on Spencer. She doesn't know a lot. But still, Lauren at that point, I kind of wish Lauren had spoken up and been like, well, you know, there's really nothing to call her out on. She hasn't done anything. And Lauren doesn't do that, and that annoys me. But
Heidi, nobody else wants your man.
Like, what does Lauren have to do with this anyway? This is not even Lauren's problem. She shouldn't have to be dealing with this.
Because Heidi, in order to ignore all of Spencer's less than positive character traits, has projected all of her uncomfortable feelings onto Audrina to blame her for everything that goes wrong. Therefore, Audrina's a mortal enemy, and Lauren, being her best friend and roommate, should treat Lauren that way too, which is not really logical at all when you think about it.
No, it really isn't. But then Heidi says, I don't care. I have too many friends and too little time. That was very insincere. Because I'm sorry, Heidi, I don't think you have any other friends.
You mean all the people that were cheering for you when your birthday cake came out?
Exactly. All those people who we've never seen and looked like hangers on. I don't think you have a lot of friends. I think she's probably regretting she started this fight, but she can't admit to it. Also, if Heidi says, oh, snap, one more time, I'm going to hit her. Why hasn't someone told her to stop saying that? I feel like that wasn't even a thing people said then. So then we head to Aryan Nightclub. Of course, Audrina is there. Heidi is on one side of the room. Audrina is on the other.
The girls are totally on trend for 2016, wearing their floral outfits. But
absolutely.
Heidi, who I feel like I've really attacked a lot this episode, and I don't mean to, but I'm gonna now. Heidi is drinking like wine or some kind of sangria or something with ice in it at the bar.
I love how Audrina says to the people she's with, she's like, Spencer is the ultimate cheese, which is such a good description of Spencer. That is a great description of him.
He totally is.
He so is. And then Spencer has the most classic guy line ever when he looks into Heidi's eyes and says, do not let that girl come between us, please. Imploringly. Okay, Spencer. No, you do not have the right to say, don't let this girl come between us, please, when you have manipulated this whole situation. That made me so mad.
If Heidi had been an adult, she could have said, why don't you not let her come between us? Decide who you're going to date, and you just let me know when you figure it out. Have a good night. And then throw her wine and ice cubes in his face and walk out of the club.
Oh, that is not anything that Heidi would ever do. No way.
At least not to a boy.
And then Spencer very rudely tells Jen Bunny to get up so Lauren and Brody can snuggle on the couch. But she does it.
Jen Bunny does get up, but she also loses her temper and says, oh yeah, I really love standing.
But no one pays any attention to her. No one's listening to her. It was really funny, but I'm like, why did you get up? Why didn't you tell Spencer no, you weren't getting up? That was the rudest thing ever. He's such a jerk.
It's just the curse of that earlier scene where she's like trying to be a character at the birthday party and some people have it and some people don't. Spencer has it, Jen Bunny doesn't.
So Brody starts paying Lauren more compliments about her smile and
you have the most beautiful eyes. Oh my gosh, Brody, that is so original. A taxi driver just told me that 15 minutes ago.
I feel like he had to say it multiple times because
He wasn't listening.
he didn't know what else to say. It was so insincere. As I say in my notes, those compliments sound genuine, LOL.
Yeah, that was so painful.
So then we go to Brody's condo. Jem, do Brody and Spencer live together? Because I think that's Spencer's condo too. Are they roommates?
I am pretty sure that they're roommates. And Susan, I have a very important question for you. Is this the scene that we got to see in the reunion special?
Yes.
I was dying laughing. I was like, I think this is it.
It is. Jem, did you notice Pete Yorn playing in the background?
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that was Pete Yorn because
Yes.
it sounded like him, but I didn't know the song.
Yes, it is. Well,
Aw.
it's one of my favorite songs.
Shout out to Pete Yorn, awesome singer-songwriter from New Jersey.
Yes, he's awesome. Brody wants to show Lauren his view.
Mm-hmm. Whatever you want to call it, Brody.
Oh, I don't even know how to talk about this scene, Jem. It means something different than it did when I first saw it.
Having seen the B-roll, which was actually my favorite part of the reunion
Oh,
episode,
yeah, for sure.
I could barely watch this episode because I just felt the misery and pain and the slowness and unbearableness of it for Lauren.
Okay, let's talk about this actual episode, what happens.
She's laughing at him.
They're on, let's discount the B-roll for a minute. And this scene comes across as this cute little, they have their first kiss, they're standing on the balcony, there's well, there's probably not stars, they're in LA, not those kind of stars at least. It's this sweet little moment, she's giggling cutely, he's kissing her and giving her all these compliments. But then we bring in our knowledge from the 10th anniversary special, and I hope everyone has seen that. If not, spoilers ahead. And the fact is that Lauren's super uncomfortable. She's like, can we be done now? She wants to leave. She's really uncomfortable. She feels like, you can tell she feels like skeeved out by it. She wants no part of it.
And she laughs at him.
And she laughs at him because he's being ridiculous.
And he does that thing boys do, or he like picks her up and gives her a hug, and she just all but squirms away.
She's
from
like,
him.
no. Ew, ew, ew. So awkward and uncomfortable to watch that now. But I definitely thought it was super cute the first time it was on. Then we go back to the club and we do a little montage of Heidi and Spencer kissing at the club while Audrina leaves alone out the back door.
Poor Audrina, always on her own. If only she could just find a nice guy who wears combat boots to the beach.
That is never gonna happen.
No.
The nice part, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Does this episode of The Hills pass the Bechdel test?
Susan, are there two female characters who talk to each other on the show?
Yes.
Do they talk about anything besides a boy?
No.
Wah, wah.
This episode of The Hills does not pass the Bechdel test.
Winners of the week.
Jem, who is your winner of the week?
My winner of the week for a second week in a row is Audrina for being the bigger person throughout the entire episode and trying to communicate with people and trying to get the band back together and completely not even trying to date Spencer or steal him from Heidi or whatever Heidi thinks she's doing. And Audrina tries and tries and tries, but I feel like she just doesn't get any credit this time around for being an actual semi-adult about the situation.
Jem, I agree. That's my winner as well. And I have nothing more to add because I think you said everything that needs to be said about Audrina.
Jem.
And Susan's funniest moments.
Oh, by far the funniest moment for me was all the times that Lauren was laughing at Brody because we were laughing at him and not with him.
Funniest moment of the week for me was when Heidi kept talking about being an American princess, which does not exist.
In her mind, it did.
It does in her mind.
There are some people in LA that are. There are some people in LA that are. There are some people in LA that are.
Okay, Jem, this is probably super obvious what the pratfalls this week is.
Big pratfall number one is telling Jen Bunny to get up so that Brody and Lauren can cuddle, but then having nowhere for Jen Bunny to go, so she has to stand there awkwardly. Any good friend at a party trying to make everybody comfortable would never behave in this manner, but who's ever saying Spencer's that person?
Number two pratfall of the week would be, do not let that girl come between us, please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Spencer, whatever. Thanks for listening to Words Unspoken, The Hills Podcast. Here's the scoop on all of the many ways you can contact us. We'd love to hear your feedback and ideas for the show.
You can email us at wordsunspokenpodcast@gmail.com.
You can find us on Twitter at The Hills Podcast and Instagram and Facebook at Words Unspoken Podcast.
We are even on Tumblr, which definitely did not exist when The Hills first aired. And you can also visit our website, wordsunspokenpodcast.com.
Please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. We are also available on Stitcher, Google Play, and SoundCloud.
We'll talk to you next Friday.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
You and all your pretty little friends up in the hills where the party never ends. Your schemes and your dreams when you're whole and you're broken. I'm telling all about it in my words unspoken.